from the pen of Jeremiah. They knew that these weren't the words that these people wanted to hear. As a matter of fact, they knew that these weren't the words that Jeremiah's counterparts and his contemporaries were spewing. The prophets weren't saying this. Jeremiah stood, and the word that God gave him stood opposed to every quote-unquote prophetic word that was given. The diviners and the prophets were saying, you're coming out. You might as well get ready. God is about to. It was so akin to what you're hearing today, because it's easy to sell people on quick deliverance. It's popular, and it is a money-making machine. It is a prosperity gospel that is the gospel has been hijacked by the opportunists to push, panhandle, and peddle a prosperity gospel that would have us tiptoeing through the tulips and everything fine and daffodils. But that's not life. That's not life. That's not our walk with the Lord. How dare we promote a gospel that would seem to suggest we are immune from suffering and from trials and testings? That's not God. And God was like, Jeremiah's words were terse. His words were cutting. His words were direct. His words were to the point. He was akin to John. He wasn't a reed that was shaken in the wind. This word was like fire that was shut up in his bone. He was not about to acquiesce or assimilate to the quote-unquote culture of his day. God gave him a word, and despite what the people were pulling on him to say, despite what the people wanted, he was not about to appease them in their suffering, to tell them what they wanted to hear. I know you want me to write to you that tomorrow about this time God is about to do it. No, he says, increase where you are. Build houses. Oh, God, I'm almost through. He says, reproduce. Get married. And I'm sure the wind left him. I'm sure. This was not what, as a matter of fact, he said in verse number 7, and seek the peace of the city of your captors. Whether I have caused you to be carried away captives. What? Pray for my enemies? Pray for the ones that have captured me, that have pulled me away from my homeland? Pray for the ones that are mistreating me? You mean seek peace with them? God, do you understand what you're asking us to do? Do you understand the tall order? Forgive them, pray for them, seek peace with them? You serious? We're trying to get out of here. This is not our home. They pulled us from our lives. And now you want us to build a life here in the place of our captivity? Are you kidding me, God? Isn't that powerful? How God will send a word that will challenge you to your core, that will wrestle with your theology, that will cause you, amen, to be uneased or diseased in your spirit. But it is not to leave you that way, but it is to challenge you so that you can understand that God is not to be predicted. He is not to be presumed. He is not to be pigeonholed or placed in the box. There is a lesson that only being here will teach you. There's a lesson that being in captivity only will teach you. That's what this is about. He says, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, verse number 8, let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you. He says, don't watch this, neither hearken to your dreams. Watch this. You want this so bad, you begin to even dream about it. He said, which ye cause to be dreamed. Oh, God spoke to me in a dream. No, he said, no, really? Your wants spoke to you in a dream. Your desires, they influence your dreams. Isn't that something? You could have a desire, and your desire can be so burning within you that you can confuse your desire for you with God's desire for you. And that desire can provoke a dream that would seem to be just like God. They said that dream had to be God. So somebody gets up the next day. I dreamt and God told me. He said, no, those dreams that you dreamt or dreamed are not of me. Don't even be deceived by those. Don't hearken to your dreams. Verse 9, for they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. God says, I have not sent them, saith the Lord. Isn't this good? I'm almost through. God says, for they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. Yes, it is biblical to call it out and to expose it. He says, these were false prophets. They sound like me. It felt like me. It seemed like me. Your spirit was leaping. Your spirits were leaping. You all jumped and you shouted. You ran around. The organ player started playing. Everybody was dancing. Sister Johnson got the tambourine. The choir started singing. It seemed like a Holy Ghost time. He says, but it was not me. It felt like me. It sounded like me. It seemed like me, but it wasn't me. In verse 10, for thus saith the Lord, watch this, this is good, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon. No, you all. 70 years. What? 70. After 70, not only are you not coming out tomorrow, not only must you unpack your bags, not only must you build houses and plant fields and marry and reproduce and make peace with those captors, not only must you pray for them, not only must you reckon that these prophets are not accurate, they weren't sent from me, these diviners were not, and that your dreams are not me, but they are induced by you. But you also must settle in your spirit on the fact that you're going to be here for 70 years. For 70 years. He says, but watch this. After they be accomplished, God, this is good, I will visit you. After 70 years, I will perform my good word towards you in causing you to return to this place. Can you imagine? It's like being hit with a prophetic brick. It's like being hit. The last thing I want to hear is that it's going to take me. Do you understand how long we have been here already? Do you understand, God, how long it feels? You're telling me that we have to be here for 70 years. What are we going to do to win out of ourselves? How am I going to praise? How am I going to rejoice? How am I going to worship? How am I going to serve when God does the opposite and the word from the Lord that I receive is not what I want to hear? Everybody says, ooh, I got a word from the Lord, a word. Do you understand that every word from the Lord is not necessarily what you want to hear? Every time God speaks a word, it's not going to always tickle you. It's not going to always feel good to you. It's not going to always cause you to shout. His word is not going to always cause you to jump up and dance and skip and tumble and roll and speak in tongues. His word is not going to always cause you to smile and call people on the phone and say, oh, I got a word from the Lord. There are times where his word will come and shake you to your core and shake you to your spirit and have you flummoxed and have you bewildered. Sometimes his word will drive you to your knees crying and lamenting and crying out to him and empty of words, don't know what to do, don't know what to say. Sometimes his word will leave you speechless, will have you mystified, will have you tussling and wrestling and ambivalent inside like a tug of war. Sometimes his word will leave you heavy.